reading slumps are normal, and I think it's a part of the average reader's life. Let's talk about it. If you're new here, my name is Serena Menta. I try to post YouTube videos about books every now and again, and it's a hobby of mine. So, like, subscribe, all that jazz. And we're just gonna get right into it. I'm gonna do like a disclaimer or a confession. This is my third time making this video, and it's because I'm a professionalist. Professionalist? Perfectionalist. Yeah, that's the word. Um, and I feel like I tend to ramble a lot. So I'm trying to keep my videos short and sweet to the point, but at the same time, I also want to be me when it comes to this. So hopefully this will be like a less than 20-minute video. And if not, just bear with me. Okay, so reading slumps, book slumps. I'm actually just going to break down the whole thing in case, let's say you're new, or you've never read before, or never took reading as a serious hobby. I'm just going to break it down because just why not? So, a book slump slash reading slump, take it what you will, I feel like they're interchangeable for the most part, is where you don't feel like reading. And I feel like a lot of, I don't want to I don't want to blame like booktubers or book influencers, but I do feel like it's a very scary thing for a lot of people because when they don't read, they fall behind. And there's a lot of books that get released, and again, they fall behind on that. So it's just when you just lost the urge or the desire to read for a bit. And yeah, it could be caused by a couple of things too. You probably could have read like a really amazing book, and now you have a what I call a book hangover, where you're like, dang, I'm never going to get that high again, or I'm never going to read a book that great again. Or you read a terrible book and you're like, that was the worst book I've ever read. What if the next book I read is just as bad or worse? So I feel like obviously the books are what cause it, but it also can be life too. Like maybe you get too busy, maybe you're too tired, maybe you pick up a new hobby. Other stuff can drag your, or not drag, but turn your attention or shift your attention from reading. And I just want to make this video to say that's okay. It's normal. And if you are still concerned or worried about it, I have a couple of tips of what I personally do whenever I go through a book slump or reading slump. My main rule when it comes to book slumps, honestly, is the let it ride method. I feel like a book slump it's easier to deal with when you just don't fight it for the most part. It really depends as well how long it's going to be. For me personally, I think I've gone maybe a couple of months at most not reading, and that's usually because I get busy and life be lifing. But if you're going through your first book slump, or maybe you're going through a pretty long book slump, that can be kind of scary for you. And I feel like it's not always that bad. And I feel like I'm going to keep saying book and reading slump because I feel like those two are interchangeable. But for me particularly, reading slump, I have done a couple of months without reading. Book slump is subjected to the book, I believe. Now, for example, there is this book right here that I still haven't finished reading. And I don't know how long I got that book. It's probably been at least 2, 3 years. But it sucks because that book is really nice because I created this photo with that book. So I would love to recreate that photo when I finish the book. I probably will still do that, but that for sure is a book slump. Now, I'm going to preface this that I did not stop reading Atomic Habits because I didn't like the book or I thought it was boring. I still believe that there's a time and a place to read a book. And when it comes to self help books, I just have to really be in that certain mindset. And I think the way that the chapters are done when it comes to the habits, I think they're pretty good. I think it makes sense. And although it's kind of like, I don't want to say it's redundant, it's just more of a simple idea or concept that you're like, yeah, that makes sense. But breaking it down so thoroughly, I really do appreciate that. It's just, I gotta be in the mindset to read the said breakdown. So yeah, we'll get to that eventually. But for now, I'm letting that one ride. It's still there in the back of my head. I'll get to it one day. I'll maybe make a blog about it too. We'll see. The first tip I have is read other books to get an idea of what I want to read. I think that sounds kind of simple, but for example, um, I know some people they like to read books one bit at a time, and there's other people that read multiple books at the same time. I feel like I fall onto the second category more just because there's just so many books out there and I want to get through all of them, but I just don't have enough time to sit through and finish one by one. So, I think that's just my personal opinion. Perfect example of this is I wanna say maybe a good half a dozen to a dozen books that I have technically started reading, but I realize I'm not in the mood to read it right now, so I did put it back on my bookshelf. And it kind of differs too between the first two, 3 pages, or I'm actually like a few chapters deep. So I do want to preface this that. I think I want to show them to you real quick, just so that way I can show you the different types of books as well. And that can be kind of like broken down later. The first book I have right now is Witch Hat Atelier. Yeah, perfect. Love the focus. So yeah, so Witch Hat Atelier, this is volume 7. So the series is really good. This anime just came out, I think, a couple of weeks ago, so I haven't touched it yet, but I'm still reading the story. It's really nice. Studio Ghibli like vibes. Can't go wrong with it. Pretty nice. Now, in the winter, I was reading this book because I was really determined to read this book in the winter. Unfortunately, I didn't read it all the way through, so now it's kind of back on the shelf until I feel like reading again. And that's Beartown. And this one, I got barely 6 chapters in. Again, the book's not boring, book's not bad. It's just I was reading it during the winter, had a great time with it. Things started warming up. I stopped feeling the winter vibes, so back it goes onto the TBR shelves for now. Currently, one of the books I'm reading literally right now, like today, and that's The Art of Loving You by Natasha Bishop. So that one is one of my, anticipated reads. And so I am starting that book right now, and it's just a time thing for me. I've just been busy for the past couple of weeks when this book got released, and I still am busy, but when I do have time, I try to sneak in a couple of chapters here and there. I am thoroughly enjoying the book right now. Just wish I could just have a good day or two to myself just to read it and not be like disturbed by life. But for the most part, though, those are like some good examples of books that I've started, stopped reading for different reasons, and eventually we'll get back to for sure. I want to go back to where I mentioned reading the first couple of pages or chapters because I feel like that kind of gives you a taste of, okay, am I in the mood to read fantasy, for example, or am I in the mood to read a self help book or not? I feel like maybe some people, or not even some people, but I feel like it can be kind of easy to feel like you have to commit to a book once you open it up. And not necessarily. I feel like if you have a re- keyword reasonable TBR, it's easier to switch between books. Or if you're like me and have multiple books in a TBR, then it can be kind of overwhelming to figure out which book to read next. The second part of what I do in a reading slump is play video games. And I feel like there's benefits with that because there's literally a book for anything. And I feel like same thing with games in a way. So whether you want cozy games, you want like a shooting game, you want adventure game, RPG game, or even just a management game, I feel like that helps engage that different part of your brain for it and kind of get you in the mood of, I feel like reading something kind of like this. I think that's just something that's like nice to do with engaging with other hobbies. Perfect example, I am a Legend of Zelda fan, especially with Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. I do think Breath of the Wild was a little bit better just with the storyline, but Tears of the Kingdom definitely was more, I mean, open world to say. And it does have me craving, I want like a book like that. I don't want a Legend of Zelda book, but I want something that has that vibe. Like, give me a princess and a knight. Give me, a whole magical quest that they have to go on. Give me the big bad enemy type of deal. Very much, it kind of gives D&D in a way, but very much fantasy vibes. I kind of want that at its core. Like video games, TV, and movies do the same thing as well. I feel like, again, it engages a different part of your brain. And also, when you're done watching a movie or watching a TV show, you might be in the mood for something similar to that content or to that concept of whatever you're watching, and you want that in a book. So I feel like that also helps with your reading slump. For example, if you want to read your Christmas books, right? That's on your TBR, but you're not in the mood to read it, watch Christmas movies or listen to Christmas music or do the Christmas activities to get you in that mood set as well. It's again really just romanticizing the genre and kind of help you get a little acclimated to it. So that way you're not just doing like not just jumping in. Perfect example as well too of the stuff that I watch. I have fell off of the K-drama train, not because I didn't like it, it's just I kind of forgot about it. I still haven't finished Crash Landing into You, and I need to get into that. The last K-drama, well, it's not really a K-drama, but it's like a reality TV show. It was Culinary Class Wars, and it did have me craving to, like, get a cookbook or, like, maybe read about something, like, culinary. I do feel like that's good sound advice, but at the same time, maybe that just shows I'm a little bit impressionable, so who knows? And then I also think, or I mentioned this before in other vlogs, I do watch anime, so that's very, very easy to get into different books as well, or even manga in particular. But the main one I'm watching right now is One Piece. So I feel like while One Piece is about like a certain setting, like with pirates and stuff, there are certain books I think of a lot that reminds me of One Piece that makes me intrigued to read it. I don't know if I'll read it while I'm watching One Piece or if I ever catch up, then maybe I'll be able to read it after that. We'll just have to see. But TV shows and movies. I think it's a fact that your brain looks for patterns. So I feel like with puzzles, that's a good way to kind of launch you into like the mystery thriller aspect for it. Now, personally for me, side note with this, I'm not really a big mystery or thriller person. Well, actually, I'll take it back. I do like a good thriller book. I'm not a big mystery book. I feel like the twist I don't know, I just feel like I'm not satisfied with the twist sometimes. I feel like the twist is either too early, the twist doesn't make sense, or the twist happens in a cer I just it's just I don't know. I feel like I'm Goldilocks with it, so I'm not really the biggest mystery person, but I think a good thriller book would be kinda nice for me. Speaking of mystery and thriller novels, I feel like reading a different book is also helpful for getting through a book slump. Now, a lot of the booktubers that I watch, they typically read romance novels as a palate cleanser, and I agree with that. I feel like it's a standard, boy meets girl, girl meets boy, they like each other, might have a third act breakup, which sucks, of course, makeup, and then it's a nice story that's wrapped up in about 300 pages or less, if you're lucky. Most of the time, I feel like more and more books are starting to become more of like 400 pages. I don't think it's bad. I just think it can be hit or miss. But if you're not really a romance like reader, then maybe you need something short, like a quick I don't know if fantasy novels are short or not. That's the problem with fantasy, I feel like, because most of the time they are series and that can be kind of tricky. Contemporary reads, I know they're typically standalone, so that's not too bad. But I'm trying to think of you could do YA, like young adult books or like the actual children books. I think those are going to be pretty short enough to read and just something different. It just really depends on what you can tolerate as well and what you're really interested in. Well, it just really depends on your taste at the end of the day. So, just spitballing here. Just put it in your pocket. Let me know how it works. The next point I want to make is really just about how there's a book for any and everything. And you can use that for your advantage of just researching as well too. I feel like those for dummy workbooks are really good. I literally have 3 of them in my TBR right now too. I started reading a couple of them, but I didn't go through the whole page. And whatever you think that there is in the book is, I'm pretty sure there is. And if not, you can always research it too. And that's where, libraries are really helpful or the indie bookstores because don't get me wrong, I do like Barnes& and Nobles and, like, the shopping experience there, but because it's a bit standardized, right, you're gonna see the books that are mostly popular or that are in demand for the most part. Some of the books that you may think that, "Oh, I wonder if they will have it," they're probably not gonna have it if it's a couple or not a couple of years, if it's a few years old and not that popular. Whereas indie bookstores, depending on the demand as well too, I feel like you have a better shot of doing it, but your best shot will definitely be a library for sure. And also the library is literally a place for knowledge. I feel like a lot of people I don't know if it's a lot of people, but I feel like society kinda rendered libraries as just a place for books. And yeah, it is, but it's just so much more than that. So just check out your libraries. Trust me. I feel like depending on the hobby, you can easily get a book for it as well too. I feel like coloring helps you be a little bit creative, and who knows? I feel like that might trigger something for you to want to read something. Either A, you might want to, if you really want to go the nonfiction route, you can get a book about color theory, or you can get a book about painting, or maybe how to draw or sketch or something like that. Or if you do want to go to the fiction route, perfect example again, The Art of Loving You, right? What the male main character, Micah, I want to say, he's an artist. So I haven't read much about his like processed just yet because I'm still in the early stages of the books, but the way that he thinks and the way that he talks about his passion for art, I still feel that, and to me, that's satisfactory. And I feel like that helps kind of create that level of relatability and that connection with a character from a book about a passion that you have or a hobby that you have. So, reality check is obviously everyone has their own personal financial situation. That's why, I said libraries because they're free, but also not everyone can buy not a library. Not everyone can buy a book for any and every hobby that they have as well too. So, just want to acknowledge that that's a reality check. If so, then you might want to do YouTube, which is also another tip for reading slumps as well. Go on YouTube. Could watch your booktubers, watch your book influencers, or watch whoever you watch just to kind of get your mind off of books for a bit. And then once you're ready, they're still waiting back for you. For me personally, I like to read while I'm watching my booktubers, just because most of the time they're talking about a book that I'm not gonna read. And I still like to hear them. I don't know. It's kind of like it's not like body doubling, but it's more like, oh, cool, you're talking about a book. Now, subconsciously, I'm in the mood to read my book. And it might just be vlogs of them just walking around bookstores or doing whatever they want to do, like just regular vlogs. I think that's also a good example too, because again, it sets the mood. Or on YouTube, there's playlists, there's the ambiance of, reading, the fireplace type of deal. So it's really limitless in my opinion. So I don't think there's anything to be really scared of when it comes to reading slump, just because everyone's human. I'm not saying it's impossible to only read books all the time. It's okay to do other stuff other than read. And whether it's a week, a month, a year, etc., it's fine. Growing, growing, you're still doing stuff that makes you happy at the end of the day. And like I said, I feel like there's a book for that. So, yeah, I think that's all of the stuff I got. Oh, actually, one more. Speaking of growing and, like it's okay. I feel like for me at least, I love to travel. So one thing that I'm always going to see when I'm traveling at the airport is a bookshop. And whether or not, I don't know if it's actually effective, if that makes sense. Like I'm sure there's people who go to the bookstore before they board their plane, right? And they're like, "Oh, I'm going to grab that book and, read it for my vacation." And they actually get it. Do they actually read it? I can't say for sure. But I do think having stores like that, both, you know, I want to say, how do I say it? I do think having bookstores both locally and wherever you go for your vacation, that's also a great way for you to get into the mindset of reading as well too. And if you don't, then you don't. You can enjoy your vacation because you're going there for a reason. And if you're going there for a reading vacation, honestly, props to you. But as for me, I would like a mixture of both at least. I would like to go out, do what I wanted to do, or do nothing all day, and then maybe the next day I'll just sit there and read all day. So it's all about duality and balance at the end of the day. I think I'm just gonna cut it off right here. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope I was short and succinct. Not only to you, but for editing Serena and maybe Kofi. But hopefully, you guys enjoyed it, and let me know if you guys have any other tips of how to break or stop your reading slump, or if you embrace the reading slash book slump as well. And what do you do other than reading? Because again, that might be like a new catchphrase actually. Like there's a book for that. Because I feel like there's a book for that actually at the end of the day. So yeah, well, all right. It's good to be back ish. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and happy reading. Bye.